Hello students, I'm again there with you with the remaining part of the story of The Guide, a novel written by R.K. Narayan. And this novel was adapted into a movie in 1965. This movie became very popular. I would suggest you to watch this movie also. So let's talk about the novel again. The narrative shifts backwards in time. You know, in the earlier section of the video lecture, I told you that Raju went in a dilapidated temple, and there different persons came and believed him to be a holy person. Now he becomes nostalgic about his past and thinks of his past life. He begins to think about his childhood experiences, his school life, his education. He remembers his father, owner of a very small shop in his village Malgudi. And when a railway station was set up there, he managed a newly constructed shop on the very station, Malgudi station. And there, his father ran the shop for a few days, then his father died, and later on, Raju got the privilege of running this shop. He was a very skillful person. He loved talking to people, and he was quite popular, very popular as a guide. People generally, when people, got down from their trains, they asked questions about the trains or about different places in Malgudi, and he would guide them to go to this place or to that place. And gradually, he managed their tours to Malgudi, and later on he himself became a guide. So his nickname became Railway Raju gradually. People thought that he was a professional guide, or I can say that he was more skillful than a professional guide. The story then moves to the present, and the author tells that a large congregation from the village Mangal comes for darshan of the Swami Raju. He advises the villagers to send their children to the schools, to the classes to be held in the, not to the schools because there was no school in the village. So he advises them to come to the classes organized by him and the temple hall. He talks to the villagers about godliness, about cleanliness, about great Indian epics, the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, and prescribes even medicines for them. Every Baba, when that Baba becomes popular, they become selfish also. They start prescribing medicines or meditation, yoga, even if they don't know anything about these things. So he also started prescribing medicines to the poor villagers. Not only the children, but the elders also were impressed by the knowledgeable talks of Raju. In the beginning, Raju enjoys the sainthood. But with the passage of time, he is fed up with this role, with this artificial life. And he longs to be his normal self. He pines to be his normal self. He thinks about his past life. He thinks about what he can do even in the present situation. But he is bound by the expectations of the villagers. Villagers think him to be a holy man, and he cannot leave because of the expectations of the villagers. Again, we go back to Raju's past life, how he became a very successful and skilled tourist guide. He procured all the things required by the tourists. He satisfied their curiosity with his persuasive, sweet and exaggerated talks. Even if a person asked about a stone or a rock, he would say that this is the place where Pandavas came and they sat, even if there was no such story associated with those rocks. But he made them interesting. He exaggerated his talks, and thus he became very popular. He discovered that tourists possess varied interests. Their financial status also differed. Some tourists were very rich, some tourists were poor. So he, according to their monetary status, he guided them. He arranged their sightseeing trips according to the status of the tourists. And Raju was in fact very adaptable person, and he becomes whatever people wanted from him. With little or no professional training, but owing to his knowledge of the local landscape, and because of his knowledge of the buildings and the town, streets in the town, he soon became a tourist guide at the railway station of Malgudi. Very popular tourist guide. Even people from far off places came to that town, and the first question they asked after getting down from the train, they would ask, "We want to hire Raju's services." Raju's pleasing personality and his interpersonal skills allowed him to win the trust and the admiration of those who met him at the station. For the first time, he was so, such an interesting person. As a guide, he met Rosie and a husband whom he named Marco. So the story takes a turn from this incident. Rosie is a heroine of the novel, and Marco is her husband. Now see what turns this story takes now from onward. When Raju had the first glimpse of the charming Rosie, he had a strong feeling of attraction towards her. He started thinking about her. Marco, Rosie's husband, a cold and distant cultural, person, historian and researcher. Marco was a researcher. Marco was a cultural historian. So he was busy, he was engrossed with his own academic pursuits. He was not interested in Rosie. He was not interested in pleasing his wife. He had no time to spare for Rosie. Marco is grotesque, always dressed like a man about to undertake an expedition. And this prompts Raju to, upon meeting for the first time at the railway station, to refer him as Marco Polo. Raju names him Marco, and at the first meeting he calls him Marco Polo because he wears a hat and he dressed like as if he's leaving for a great expedition, as Marco Polo did centuries ago. Raju came to know about the estrangement between the husband and the wife. Raju, by his insight, comes to know that everything is not well between the husband and the wife. And he gave to Rosie what her husband had denied. Raju gave her time. Raju gave her attention. Raju gave her admiration, which her husband did not. Raju flatters and praises Rosie, and wherever he finds the opportunity, wherever he finds, he knows that she pines for these three things: attention, time, and admiration. And Raju starts, praising her whenever they are out of range of her husband's hearing. When Rosie wanted to see the dance of King Cobra, Raju eagerly offered to take her to the area of the snake charmers. Whereas whenever she asked her husband that she wanted to see the snake charmers, her husband would get angry with these things, because her husband knew that Rosie belonged to a lowly family from a low background. So as Cobras danced to the music of flute, Rosie's body too began to sway in the rhythm, and Raju realized that she was a great dancer. Raju realized that her skills could be exploited. Raju realized that he should now praise her skill as a dancer. Her husband could not realize it. Her husband did not pay attention to this skill in Rosie. He overlooked this art in his wife. Thank you for watching this video attentively, patiently, and the story has now started taking turns, and it will become more and more interesting. It has become absorbing, and you will certainly enjoy the twists and turns in the story very much. Please remain in touch with my videos and read the text also, read the novel. You will enjoy the novel. And now in the third section, I will again explain the story, summarize the story for you, and so that you may be familiarized with the characters, with the story, with the theme of the novel. Thank you very much for watching.